Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bourbon Basement. My name's Ryan,
I'm Steve.
and today we're going to be doing yet another tasting. What are we going to be tasting today?
Peerless.
I've never heard of this bourbon.
Never heard of it.
Have you ever heard of it?
Yes, but not. It wasn't one of the mainstream things that I'd heard of.
Have you ever tried this?
I have never tried it.
No.
Never tasted any of the Peerless bourbons. But the main reason I got this one is because it's double oak. And
so this
you
is
and
not
I both
original
love
Peerless.
not
this
original.
Is double oak
this
Peerless.
is the double oak. You and I both love Woodford double oak.
Yeah, it's really hard to compare to that. So I feel like
get
that out of your head. This is not Woodford.
I know, but we don't know what this is.
This is not Woodford
because we've never tried it.
This is double oak of Peerless Distilling.
Double oak. I love double oak Woodford, and I tend to go towards these. If they say double oak on it, they probably got me buying it. Period. And because I want to try them.
Well, you're setting yourself up for failure because you want all the Kentucky bourbons, but if you're going to go to every version of every Kentucky bourbon,
I'm getting every Kentucky bourbon there is to get. I'm going to buy them all. They're all going to be mine. It's going to look like a daggone bar down here. I've got a good start, and I'm going to have shelves and shelves of bourbon.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, we got.
We got some sound.
I wish you would not turn the sound on if you don't know how to turn it off.
Sorry.
You think you have everything going. And
that's why you're doing the show with me.
You think you've got everything going. Whoa, why is chat disabled?
Don't disable chat.
I didn't.
All right.
Why is chat disabled for that? What?
I don't know. Well, this isn't a very professional show so far, is it?
Trial and error.
It is. It's a new day. If you are used to watching us live, we always go on Fridays. Today it's Thursday, but it's still at 6 o'clock.
It was on time, but we announced that in the last video. So I mean, we stuck up to our end of the deal.
But we're going with Peerless bourbon. This one happens to be the double oak. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit of history about Peerless. And believe me, I needed one more day to prep. I did a lot of reading and a lot of research.
A lot to do with this one?
No, there's not a whole lot, but it's a lot to remember, and I'm not that smart. So
you heard it here first, folks.
Well, I read a lot of articles, and there was a lot of information to take in, and it don't go, in order of the way I like to talk about it. So I have to take a little bit of this piece and a little bit of this piece and push them all together to try to give everybody a general aspect, a general overview of the history. But anyway, Peerless started with Henry Craver, and I think I'm pronouncing his name right. It's Kraver, Craver, Henry Craver. That was all the way back in 1889. He purchased a distilling company, a small distillery. All right, he purchased it, and he wanted to make him some bourbon, and so he said, "Hey, I'm going to build a lot more warehouses." So he built a ton of warehouses. So 1889, he started building a lot of warehouses where he could store some bourbon. And he took that small distillery that he bought that produced about 10 barrels, 8 to 10 barrels a day, and he started producing 200 barrels a day.
8 to 10 barrels a day? I don't consider that small. Like, small in the distilling world now, but like, if I'm making 8 to 10 barrels of bourbon a day, I'm winning.
That's good. And that's a small distillery. Some of them might do that. And actually, I was going to get into that, but spoiler alert, that's what Peerless does today. They're back to 10 or 12 barrels a day. But anyway, so Henry Craver, back in 1889, made it the largest distillery in the state of Kentucky at the time. So Peerless was the largest distillery at that time, producing more bourbon than anybody. Peerless was a household name. Everybody loved it. And he prospered. He prospered by doing this until 1917. So he bought it in 1889. He ran under that other distillery's name for a while until he changed the distillery's name to Kentucky Peerless Distilling Company. Then he flourished until 1917. And do you know, just a history lesson, do you know what the United States did in 1917? And it wasn't prohibition. When you're thinking about bourbon, you think that's kind of the downfall. But what happened in 1917? No, you didn't study history.
I blame my teachers.
The United States entered into World War I.
I knew that.
So in that war, though, there was a act. It's called the Lever Act. It come down from the president, and he said that we got to save our grain for food. So you couldn't use corn or wheat or nothing like that for alcohol distillation anymore. So they shut that down. And then Henry Craver, he's a smart guy, and he's hearing all these rumors about prohibition and everything coming. So he decided to just close down his plant. So he closed down Peerless in 1917. At that time, he decided that he was done with bourbon and he was going to sell off. So he sold off a bunch of his equipment.
He probably made enough to retire anyway.
Well, here's the other thing. So this is the cool thing about this. So he kind of did. I didn't get his, when he died or anything like that. But so he sold his equipment and everything to Canada. So you never know who's making that now. Maybe Crown Royals.
You gotta watch out for the Canadians.
And but anyway, sold all his equipment. But he had 63,000 barrels of bourbon in his warehouses. All right, so you can't just get rid of them overnight. No. You ain't going to dump them down the drain, although that's what Prohibition wanted to do, right? So during that time, he would sell off some of those barrels of his bourbon. Then Prohibition came. And he was smart enough that he went in and he got one of those 6 licenses for medical bourbon. So
medicinal bourbon.
So he took his bourbon and he used it during Prohibition to do scripts. And the funny thing about Henry Craver, so I was thinking about Prohibition and writing some scripts. He was actually a pharmacist before he bought his bourbon company.
See, he needed that license anyway. He deserved that license.
Yeah. So anyway, today, Peerless, Henry Craver's great-grandson, Corky Taylor, and Henry Craver's great-great-grandson, Carson Taylor, their father and son, they wanted to...
Corky and Carson Taylor.
They decided to bring back their family history and their heritage, and they wanted to open Peerless Distilling Company again. So they went to Louisville. They found the abandoned warehouse that was 100 and some odd years old. What's so funny?
Corky.
I know. I worked with the Corky forever. You know that.
Oh, Corky Pig. No.
Oh, that's Porky, you dork.
I know, but Corky.
Porky. No, it's Corky.
Okay.
But and they sound like really good people on everything I've read about them. But anyway, they opened up the distillery, bought an abandoned warehouse that had been abandoned for over 100 years. Their bourbon hadn't been made for over 100 years, so they decided to take and redo this warehouse, make it into a distillery. And today they've made it into, what's the word I'm looking for? Cutting edge. They had cutting edge technology, state of the art facilities, and it's not fully automated, but it's very automated. So they put all this equipment in there and they've got all this state of the art stuff in there. They mixed the old with the new, and they've started their new distillery and they're releasing Peerless bourbon again. Now, I told you earlier, they're only making 10 to 12 barrels of bourbon a day.
So back to the very
very small distillery, very small. But
hey, small should mean quality.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and that's what they want. Small means quality. Now, I haven't tasted this, but from everything I read, this is going to blow my mind. It's going to be incredible. And there's more differences in this bourbon, and I'll get to talking to that when I talk about the bourbon.
Well, let's not set our standards too high.
Well, that's why I read and research, and it makes these bourbons just so much more special. But they can actually produce a whole lot more bourbon. They just don't want to. They want to be perfect. They want perfection. They're not chasing that dollar. Now this bottle's probably about $65. So is that an expensive bourbon?
It's on the higher side.
It's on the higher side, but I mean, you have $3 and $4 and $5 and $100 bottles, $1,000 bottles. You have a lot of $100 bottles. So I think this is kind of in the middle range of bourbons
between your higher grade and then your regular.
And it's such a small distillery, so the profit margin ain't as much on these bourbons as some of these others. They also go barrel proof, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But they go barrel proof. So you know what that does? That means less water, so less product. But they're chasing those flavors. They're trying to make their great grandfather proud.
If they wanted to, just since they don't produce that much, they could charge more per bottle.
You would think, but they're already getting criticized a little bit for the price of these. So anyway,
that makes me think it's not that great.
I don't know. Every article I said,
mixed opinions.
Every article I read, it said it was
I'm getting
great.
a lot of mixed signals right now.
So I'm sorry, I'm kind of stumbling over this. Like I said, I probably needed that one more day to prepare. Do you see our producer's note there?
We run the show.
We do, but our producer is very important. Anyway, let me talk a little bit about this bourbon because they do something that you and I have never tried.
Ooh.
You've heard of sour mash?
Yes.
Okay, and do you understand what that is a little bit?
Yes.
Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
All right. So
I know what it is. I don't think that I would be able to explain it in terms that everyone else would understand.
Sour mash, that's the fermentation process, the yeast and everything.
Yeah.
It's called backset. They take a little bit of that sour mash that they use, and they backset it into their next batch. So it kind of controls the quality of the next batch. It helps the fermentation process, and it keeps that same strain of yeast. So the
blend is more consistent.
Yes, thank you very much. Very more, and it's consistent, so you get that consistent flavors. And that's what most bourbon companies do. They use a sour mash backfill,
especially if they're producing more, just to get the consistency
and they do
across everything.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but pick up that bottle and read what it says here on the back. And this is on every bottle of Peerless on the back.
I know.
Okay. You can.
I'm examining.
I understand.
Non-chill filtered, strictly sweet mash.
Is that something new?
I don't remember.
This may be the only bourbon I've ever had that's sweet mash.
0 water added, barrel proof.
Okay, so this is where I may stumble a little bit because there was a lot to learn about sweet mash, and from the basics to what I understand is they start new every time. They don't
recycle anything.
They don't have any back set, so no sour mashing. But what it allows them to do is to get more flavors and less water, more bourbon, and barrel proof. So the sweet mash goes in. They use a new yeast every time, but it also means their facility has to be immaculate. Like you can't have any bacteria or anything get in there because it's a new yeast every time, and what that bacteria and stuff will just kill that yeast, so their fermentation and everything can go bad.
So if you're a clean freak, go tour Peerless.
Evidently, from the process, it sounds vigorous of all the stuff they have to do to have sweet mash. But what that allows them to do is they take that sweet mash. So bourbon has to be under 160 proof coming off the still. Well, they bring their bourbon off the still about 130, which is less than other bourbon companies. Most of them try to get high. Then what they do is they add water to bring it down, and then they put it in the barrel probably around 120, 125, which it can't be any higher than 125 going in the barrel. So what Peerless does is they bring it off the still about 130. So then that way they add less water to get their proof down.
They don't have to hardly add any water to get it.
They don't have to add any, but they take their proof down to 107 when they put it in the barrel. Now, after the bourbon ages, they don't add any more water to deproof it. So 107 going into the barrel, and that's about, what's the barrel proof on that?
109.5.
109.5. So the only water that's ever added to that bourbon ages in the barrel with the bourbon. So other bourbon companies, when they dump their barrels, if their proof is too high, they have to water it down again to get it to that 80 proof or 90 proof or 100 proof, whatever they want. Peerless goes barrel proof for that reason, and sweet mash allows them to do that. It also goes with the non-chill filtered. So chill filtering, if you take bourbon out, they chill filter it because sometimes bourbon can get cloudy, especially when you add water to that aged spirit.
That makes sense.
You add water, the water won't water and oil, right, don't mix, and they get all that oil out of the wood, so it kind of coagulates, I guess, for lack of better terms, and the spirit becomes cloudy, and they can have little bitty chunks around the bottom of it. Probably wouldn't be very aesthetically pleasing. You probably wouldn't buy that bottle if you saw that floating around in there.
Some people like crunchy peanut butter, so you might like crunchy bourbon or chunky bourbon.
Well, that's what chill filtering does. So when you have to add water to your bourbon after it's aged, the oils in the bourbon from the barrel and stuff can separate, which causes that coagulation. So they chill filter that so it doesn't happen. Well, they are unchill filtered, so they do not do that because at barrel proof, they don't need to. They don't add water to it. They put it straight in the bottles from that barrel. So vigorous process. I don't know what it tastes like yet, but it seems like they baby their bourbon.
I feel like you've got your hopes really high right now.
I do, but they feel like they baby their bourbon. So their small batch, by the way, it's they use 6 barrels in their small batch, but I could not find anything on their mash. You know how I like to know the mash bill that everybody uses. The only thing I found is that rye is the second ingredient. And the only reason I know that is because what I found, it said it's between 61 and 85% corn, and then between 10 and 15% rye, and then what was left was malted barley.
Do we know how long they age it?
That is aged at least 4 years.
So in all 6 barrels, it's at least 4 years.
At least 4 years, and when they do that, I guess that's just to taste, but they age them at least 4 years. One article I read said it was aged 5 years, but they don't have an age statement on the bottle.
All right, well, this is 109.5 proof, 54 3/4% alcohol per volume, batch number 14.
And I'm interested to try it.
And I don't think you all are going to be able to see this on the camera. Tell them what this bottle is supposed to resemble.
Me? Or you just, looks like a barrel to me. What's it look like to you?
I think it looks like a barrel.
To me, now our producer really liked the bottle.
I've never seen a bottle like it.
I wasn't a fan of the bottle. I think that's the worst part of everything I've seen. I'm not a fan of the label.
Well, if you look at some of the other ones up here, a lot of them are just, you get a lot of the same style bottles.
A lot of wine style bottles. I'm not a real fan of wine style bottles either, but this is a beautiful bottle.
We won't say the names of them because we'll save that for when we're actually doing them, but this is an awesome bottle.
It's beautiful.
That one in the top right, if you can see it, is an awesome bottle.
I like the different shaped bottles.
And then you had Basil, which it was a normal bottle, but it had the metal belt around it, so it made it unique.
And our producer loves the bottle, and she loves the cork. So, and the cork is unusual. It's wood. It's got a little bitty seam around it, it looks like. But to me, it almost reminds me of root beer. You've seen the little root beer things, and
I don't think it tastes like root beer.
Well, I hope it doesn't, but it's dark. It kind of reminds me of root beer. So I'm not a biggest fan of the bottle. The other Peerless bottles with the brighter label, I think, was nicer looking. So maybe it's just...
It's a very low-key label.
It is. Maybe it's just the darkness of the double oak. But, man, I'm ready to try this thing. Why don't you pour us some?
Oh, we got to get the ASMR section here. Fresh bottle.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I got to... Oh, here you go. You might do your 1 ounce pour, whatever you want. I want the big pour.
Oh, we're going heavy, huh?
I want to taste it.
Oh, that's right. You don't work tomorrow. Forgot.
I want to taste it. Oh, let me go. I love to smell it, Court, too. Did you even smell it?
Yeah,
What'd you do?
We got some...
Don't waste it.
No, we got some seepage.
Don't waste
out the top here. What?
Do you want coffee?
That's a different bourbon. Did you watch this?
That isn't a different bourbon.
Why? There ain't no way it's coming.
That's brand new.
It's coming out the top.
I just got it out of the package.
It's not even in the bourbon yet.
Father and son.
Someone's doing some sus activities here.
It was fresh out of the package. That's nice. All right. So I just used some coffee. Clear my nose so I can get a good nose. My nose isn't the best, so We got water here to clear our palates. We're only tasting one bourbon, so we don't need anything else. And we got some distiller water.
Can you get your glass over here?
Yes.
Don't put my hand. Oh,
which way you want to go?
I don't
here.
know.
I
poured it into my left hand,
go
which was already a mistake.
This is going to be a mess. Oh,
you know,
good. You
being left-handed, that was decent.
Look at that. That's very well.
Hey, you said you wanted the big boy, so I filled it up to the brim.
Well, I like the big boy, and that is a beautiful color.
I will not use my left hand.
If y'all have watched any of our episodes before, you're going to know I like the darker bourbons. That may be why I go for these double oaks, because they do tend to be darker.
It's seeping out the top. We need to replace that one.
Okay, that one's just a bad.
I guess so, because I've got it sealed and we got some drippage.
It's just a bad spout. I love the color. It's dark. It reminds me. That's what I think bourbon should look like. If you all can see that color.
And I think all double oak has that color, just where it is the double barreled. Oh, does it say? This just says bourbon whiskey twice barreled in new oak.
In new oak. Here, let me get you that.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I actually. Oh,
Bounty. You can sponsor us if you want.
You told me not to waste. That wasn't going to be wasted.
Oh, was you going off the counter?
I was going off the counter.
That would have been funny to watch. I wish I'd let you. All right. So what you got with your?
You got some. Does have a very nice color.
I smell cinnamon and honey.
It's spicy to me.
It's very spice.
It's got that nose burn to it.
I got cinnamon and honey, and I've got some good whiskey tears. It looks like it may be a good thick chew. He hates when I say that. You got some whiskey tears on it there?
Yeah, a few.
I'm not getting your spice, Rob, but I get a honey.
It may just be because of the burn that I got initially.
I got cinnamon.
You said cinnamon 4 times.
Okay, because that's all I'm getting, really.
We got cinnamon. We got honey.
I guess I'm talking to you talking. All right, you got anything new?
Hold on. We got cinnamon. We got cinnamon.
Our producer wants to smell. She's got a good nose.
The more that I smell it, the sweeter it gets.
I thought sweet, but I couldn't describe the sweet, so I didn't say anything.
And if any of you are tuning in for the first time, what we do when we're smelling, when we're getting our nose, we'll go through the tasting process one by one again for anyone that's a first-time viewer. But we inhale through our nose and open our mouth at the same time, so it's kind of coating our palate.
You say apples?
I get chocolate. A little bit of chocolate.
Maybe that's the sweetness, like when you fresh open a Hershey candy bar or something.
Yeah, you get that cocoa whiff.
Right, and that's a pretty good nose, because that's what the experts say it's got. They get the cocoa with it. I'm not picking up the cocoa.
Maybe it's more of a Reese cup. No, I thought I was getting some peanut.
I'm going for some taste. You want to tell them about?
Maybe it is a little nutty. Okay, so when we do our tasting here, when we actually get into the tasting element of it and off the nose, what we do on our first sip, it's just a little sip, coat it over your tongue, hold it in there for about 5, 6, as many seconds as you want, and then swallow. You're not going for any kind of taste. You're just acclimating your tongue to the burn. So when you do get to the tasting, has it got some?
I got the burn.
Ice watering over here.
Woo! Got a little heat to it. Wait until it's the finish. Mine was fine. Then I swallowed.
Are you sure you didn't inhale it?
Well, maybe
Is it your lungs that are hurting and not your throat?
I did take a big drink. A producer wants to try it.
Second taste, same thing. You're just acclimating yourself to the burn, especially with something this high of proof. You might need that second acclimation sip. What? What I miss?
My producer's calling me a wimp over there. Says it ain't got no burn at all.
I'm not getting as much as what you're saying.
Well, it's hitting me in the back of my throat. You know, you know how most of the spicy ones, when they hit me on the side of my tongue.
I've got another
This one's
sore,
hitting
and
me
this
on
one's still not even that bad.
It's hitting me right in the back of my throat on the finish. It's just hitting me right there, and it's just grabbing and twisting.
Grabbing and twisting.
My producer got just a tingle.
I thought this
on the
was
front
family friendly, personally. I'm acclimated. I don't think the burn is that bad, especially being as high of a proof as this
I'm
is.
gonna take another sip before I start judging. So
You've got plenty in there. I'm actually going to jump ahead while he's still acclimating. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my nose clear here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and start my tasting element, which is what you do on the third sip, depending on what amount that you have. If you want to distribute it more, go ahead. If you want another acclimation sip, if it's a little burny, you go for it.
Well, 109 proof isn't the highest proof that we've had, and I've had some that didn't burn at all.
No, what,
This
130?
This one's hitting me. Now 121.9, I think we had.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Woodford over.
That's what it was. If y'all haven't seen that episode, it's archived on our YouTube channel. Go check that one out, because our first episode, was it our first or our second?
Second.
Our second episode was really special. Really limited edition bourbon that we actually tried at the end of that episode. So go check that out if you haven't. Leave a like, subscribe. Sponsors welcome.
There. That's what I pay you for.
Okay. I didn't know y'all are getting paid. I guess I am getting paid in bourbon. All right, I'm going for the tasting sip. Y'all might expect me to say this right off the bat. Oak. I'm getting a lot of oak.
It's very oaky.
The char stays with you, like past everything, like past all the other flavors. The char just kind of hangs there on the sides of my tongue. So I'm getting the sour and the sweet side. Isn't that how your tongue's supposed to work? One side sour, one side sweet.
It breaks it down, yeah, but yeah.
So I'm getting a good balance of a sour, sweet char. It not so much sour. I'm just kind of going along with the tongue theme there, but I'm definitely getting a smokiness from the barrels itself. I wonder how long they leave it in their second barrel.
I don't know, and I hadn't,
because Woodford leaves it in there for
up to a year.
Up to a year on their double oak.
6 months to a year. This one here, I didn't find any information on that, and we haven't been on a tour or anything of this, so I can't ask.
This is like a fresh char, so it makes it seem like they leave it in that second barrel.
It could be char number 4 instead. A lot of bourbons will use the char 3. This could be char 4.
Man, it is really.
It's oaky. I taste a lot of oak, a lot of char. I got so much spice. I haven't got past the spice yet. Really. I do taste a little bit of the cocoa, but my mouth is so dry.
I get the honey aspect that you were talking about on your nose. So we got smokiness, we got sweetness from the honey. I'm not getting the chocolate notes.
See, I get a little bit of the chocolate.
I'm not getting the chocolate notes anymore.
You know what I imagine this as?
It's almost grapey.
You got grapes?
Not like grape flavored stuff, but if you were to eat a raw grape, because I don't think actual grapes taste anything like grape flavored sodas or candies. I'm getting like a raw grape if you were to eat a grape in your mouth.
To me, it's not. My producer's getting caramel apple. I'm not getting caramel or apple.
I'm not getting either of the. No, I'm sticking with the grape as far as fruits go. So there is a fruity aspect. There's like I said, char, honey, fruit, as in grape. That's kind of what I'm getting as of now.
I don't get hardly any sweet.
I think that you're really struggling with the burn on this one.
I got a lot of burn. I got a lot of burn, and it's just hitting me where it's burny, and I'm not usually that way.
So, spoiler alert: this one's not for beginners.
I wouldn't suggest this to a beginner. But I don't know how to explain it. To me, a very like a hot cocoa without a lot of sugar at a Mexican restaurant.
And when he says hot, he means hot cocoa.
Like, when they spice it up. If you could go to a Mexican restaurant and order a hot cocoa, this is what I think it would taste like.
Spicy nutmeg.
I don't get nutmeg either.
I'm not getting nutmeg either. But you think of hot cocoa, you think of holidays. You think of holidays, you think of nutmeg. You think of Mexican, you think of spicy. So spicy nutmeg.
I see the tie. You did good.
I thought it made sense.
No, see.
Leave a comment below if you picked up on it.
I took a bigger drink, didn't hold it in my mouth as long, kind of swigged it down real quick. And I got a little bit of that caramel apple that time. But I got a lot less spice. So I didn't hold it in my mouth as long. And
I knew there was a reason I was saving that last sip, and it was supposed to be for water.
Well, you know what? We own the bar.
For those of you that don't know, purified water, is that what it's called? It's called distiller's water. Distilled water. So it's boiled water. So all the imperfections are gone out of it. It's completely pure water. This actually changes the taste of your bourbon a lot. This actually changes the taste of your bourbon a lot, and I'm gonna just estimate.
He's tired of I need to order some droppers.
That was probably about 4 good-sized drops of water.
All right. And you told him it changed the nose too?
No, but I said it completely changes it in all ways. And it'll also take that burn away for those of you that are struggling with it. You know what I get
with the nose?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon and honey. I get cinnamon and honey on the nose.
Honestly, I don't think it changed the nose of this one at all.
It didn't change it to me either.
This one smells exactly the same as without the water. A lot of them, it'll change the whole dynamic of it. Like it's like you flip a switch. Some of them will go from sweet to savory, and from savory to spicy. And
I think it made it sweeter.
I'm still getting my, obviously, charcoal.
I've already drunk it.
Chocolate.
I think when I drank that last bit with the water, it made a little bit
popcorn.
Really? It made it a little bit sweeter. I've said this before, though. I drink bourbon on the rocks a lot. I'll drink it neat sometimes. I would really enjoy this on the rocks.
Ooh, beef jerky.
It changed it. Yours went more savory.
Yeah, beef jerky.
Mine went sweeter.
It's like a smoked beef jerky. Like normally beef jerky's just dried.
Well, all in all, you all can see that everybody's nose, we're father-son, and his nose is way different than mine and my wife.
I question whether I'm your son or not. You always say, where'd I get my musical talent from?
You're very
talented. Now we don't have the same palate on bourbons.
You're very talented, and I have no musical ability, but I can sing. And one day, no, I'm not ever going to sing on here. But anyway,
I don't know. You kind of gave the camera the smolder. They might be expecting it now.
But anyway, the nose was different. Palate.
No,
we've hardly ever
been. Nose was exactly the same.
No, our nose was different.
Oh,
our palates are different.
No, so I don't think anyone's the same on anything.
You don't have the same, and you can read what experts say, or you don't have to read what experts say, but you may or may not taste what the experts taste. It may take you, just like this one for me, I could not get past the spiciness of it.
I mean, I tasted the chocolate. That's about the only thing that I had that the experts said.
Well, I can't remember all they said, but I remember them saying cocoa. Of course, I got a lot of oak and a lot of char. But that cinnamon and honey was always in there.
Now, when we say a lot of char and we went over it a lot, that does not mean a bad thing.
No,
When you're getting double oaked, you should expect that, and you should want that.
yeah. It felt good in my mouth, and I liked it. I haven't found one that I don't like.
Did it?
You didn't like it?
I'm talking about you, your reactions. We're not saying that you liked it.
It was the finish. It was the finish. In my mouth and everything, it was great. I was fine with the taste, but when I swallowed it, burnt right here.
Your dad was
And
fighting
it
for his life.
wouldn't go away. It just stuck. Like I think my Adam's apple just held it and just gargled it or something right there. And it just stayed there.
The bourbon catch.
Well, if you was gonna, what do you want to do? You want to give it some stars? You want to talk about it some more? What do you want to do?
We'll do the stars, but I'm going to start out by saying this is not a beginner-friendly bourbon. If you're wanting to get into bourbon, don't think so much about the price tag. Like obviously you're going to think about that, but even this being affordable with the proof that it is, and I think it was really good quality.
I'm happy with it. It's one of the drier bourbons that I've had. Reminds me of a dry red wine in a way, not the flavor, but the palate, the way it almost made my mouth draw because it was dry. Did you get any dryness in there? My mouth is still dry. I've almost drunk my whole glass of water.
I do that every episode. You make my mouth dry when you talk. So I take drinks for you.
I do talk a lot. I'm sorry.
No, that's not a complaint.
I don't mean to take it over, but I just talk. You let me do the history because you don't want to research it. That's a lot of the
If
episode.
I didn't research in school, I ain't going to research now. Anyway, this is not a beginner-friendly bourbon. For those intermediate people that want to take it a step up and try something of a higher proof, I recommend this for you. Or an experienced bourbon drinker, I recommend this for you as well. It's a very good price tag on a very high-quality bourbon, I believe, at least from what I experienced. I don't think it's not the best one we've had on here thus far. This is not. I know I'm not supposed to compare them to other bourbons because they're all individual. They're all made differently and they all have their own history behind it. But it was enjoyable. I've never had a bourbon that I didn't enjoy.
Did you taste anything with the sweet mash? Because that's a big thing in all the articles that I read was about that sweet mash. Did you taste anything with that?
I tasted clarity. If that makes sense.
The sweet mash and the less water is supposed to bring out more of the grain in the bourbon. So you should have. I think I tasted it because I think I got a lot of the rye grain.
I think that the barrel took over spicy.
Though. The char. And
I think that the char just. Oak. But like I said, when you're getting double oaked, it should do that.
We definitely need to get just the
regular,
small batch.
Yeah, the regular small batch.
We need to get the regular small batch and taste it, kind of compare it to this double oak.
I enjoyed it though. If I'm taking this on its own spectrum, like I said, it's not comparing it to any other stuff that we've had. I'm going to give this as far as price tag, quality, and experience range, 7.
I gave it 6.
I was looking in the sky, guys. I promise.
I gave it 6. I'll give it a 6. You're right. I think I got my hopes up too high.
Always keep your expectations low, and you'll never be disappointed.
And I'm gonna tell you, I kind of set myself up week to week because I
didn't have low expectations for this, but I didn't have super high hopes. I don't read any of the articles, so I can't.
Well, I do read those articles, and those articles, a lot of the ones that I read, make everything seem so appetizing, so appealing.
Because it's advertising that bourbon. Of course,
it's not
going to
really
make
an advertisement. Some of them are like articles that, just I don't know about the thing, but I did have my hopes up a little too high. Maybe that's why it just got a 6 for me. I couldn't get past the spice, and it's only 109 proof. I've had a lot higher proofs that were a lot smoother, so that spice stuck with me and kind of disappointed me a little bit because it didn't let me enjoy any of the other flavors. Now, I
bet you this on the rocks.
Well, after this episode, it's going on the rocks, and I'm going to try it and see if I get anything else or if the star rating would increase. But because you got to have any comments or any suggestions tonight?
Not thus far.
Slow night. It is a new night. So, all right. So Next week, guys, it'll be Saturday.
Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're always going to try to be at 6 p.m., even if we're on different days due to others' busy schedules.
It's my birthday month.
But we're going to do Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think we already decided, just because we don't have our spinny wheel and we're not flipping coins or anything. We decided before this episode started that we're actually going to do 4 roses next week.
4 roses next week.
Is that what we said? Or am
so
I
a little public service statement to all of you bourbon drinkers
PSA
out there. To all you bourbon drinkers out there. So we've been doing a lot of tastings, a lot of things going on. And it's just us and you know, a few guests every now and then. But when you open a bottle of bourbon, it doesn't last forever.
Not unless it's sealed really well.
I don't know if you all knew that, but when you take the cork out of that bourbon, that cork has to fit down in there almost like a wine cork for that bourbon to stay good. The corks in bourbons like this wooden cork here with the little cork, it'll slide back down in this bottle pretty easy. So it makes a good seal, but not the best. So if you are a bourbon collector, drinker, I don't collect to resell. I don't collect to just have them on my shelves. I collect them to drink them. But if you are a bourbon collector, drinker like I am, if you open a bottle, you probably want to finish that bottle within a year.
Now, I don't know if decanters are the same way.
If the what are?
Decanters. I think decanters seal it pretty good.
I honestly think decanters is 3 to 6 months.
I find that hard to believe. That just shows don't believe what the movies show you, because these guys act like they got this 1942 bourbon from another country and they still got it open.
I don't know who knows this and who doesn't, so just PSAs. So bourbon doesn't age in a bottle like wine does. You know, wine, they put it in a bottle, and that bottle, if it was bottled in 1912, in 2012 it was 100 years old, and it aged every day. Bourbon ages in the barrel. Once they put it in the bottle, it's done aging. So if it was a 4-year bourbon in the barrel and you kept
4-year bourbon,
and you kept
2 years later,
you kept it 10 years in the bottle, it's still just a 4-year bourbon. So bourbon only ages in the barrel.
4-year bourbon with a lot of dust on it.
Yes, it only ages in a barrel. But if that bottle's never been opened, it lasts forever. Forever. But it's still just an 18-year bourbon or a 4-year-old bourbon. It's not a 100-year-old bourbon.
Long story short, guys, if you open your bourbon, drink it within a year.
Try to drink it within a year. Thank you, Rye. You make things short and sweet.
Drink your bourbon within a year after opening it. If it's on the shelf with a lid on it, but never been opened, it can last forever.
But with all that, I've got several open bottles, and my son and I are going to have to start doing open bottle episodes.
It'll make our choices a lot more
It'll narrow them down. Now, on the 15th, we have a tasting coming up, and there's going to be 5 more open bottles. So, we'll have plenty of bourbon to choose from still. So
we got plenty already.
We'll never do the same episode twice.
We got the next 2 years worth of bottles open already.
No, we can get through them, I think.
All right. So 4 roses next week, guys. Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I guess after that, we'll be going back to our normal Friday schedule, but bear with us while he's having the busy month.
Well, you got holidays and everything, so we'll try to get back to Friday.
We'll play it as we go, but we'll make sure to give you all an announcement at the end of every stream.
That's all I got.
I think we covered everything. We got announcement for next bourbon. We gave it stars. I enjoyed it. I recommend it for those mid-tier to experience. Recommend it for those mid-tier to experienced bourbon drinkers, not the beginners.
Thank you.
All that being said, guys, hopefully you all did go on to enjoy. We appreciate you giving a little bit of time out of your day. If you enjoy what you see, follow us on Twitch or go subscribe on YouTube, where you'll find all of our past streams archived, and you can go back and watch them as you please. Be sure to give a like, drop a comment on anything you'd like to see. Even though we are focusing on the opens right now, we will be sure to get to it eventually, as long as it is a Kentucky-made bourbon. All that being said, guys, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve.
Thanks so much again for giving us a little bit of time out of your day. As always, guys, why drink alone
when you can drink with us?
We'll see y'all Saturday.
Hey, can I have a hug?
No.
All right, I'm going to settle for another warm Kentucky hug then.